Hey, I'm Captain Eddie Castellan. Welcome to the shop. We're still going through cleaning up, getting rid of stuff and finding things. The other day I was moving something. I said, I know what that is. I know how to use that. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you what it is and show you how to use it. And all you have to do, you know the deal, you got to watch. A couple of weeks ago I showed you this little plate. This was turned 4 or 5 years ago, and it was put off out the way, and then I went and had the stroke and all this stuff. So I didn't get back in here right away. And I'm coming back. Don't worry. I'm not bouncing as high as I used to, but I'm still bouncing. I am going to re-chuck this and hold it, and I'm going to do it using a vacuum chuck. Now, I don't have a reference center on this. That's a mistake. When I turned it out, I should have put a reference center so I can go back and get it again. It's just a little dot or whatever. Don't have it, so I'm going to put a reference center on it by just coming across with, there you go, the little thing squiggly that does the centers on bowls and platters and sticks and all that. So I've got a center referenced in. Can you see the marks? Okay. I've got that center referenced in. And now I'm going to put it on my vacuum chuck. Now, guys say I've seen this in the ad. You can't buy all the stuff. Well, the hardware store sold me this part. This is a 3-inch screw-on clean-out for drainage. And I picked the clean-out because it had a big wide edge on it. And then I took my scraper and I put a hold on. Okay, that's what I ended up with. I had a piece of pipe and I put it on a faceplate that's cut for a chuck. I wish I had shown you that before I mounted it all up. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do a little throw in here to show you what it looks like. That's a technical term for oops. Alright, now I have the pipe and it's glued into this faceplate. Faceplate's got a block on it. It blocks me held in my one-way stronghold center. So I am stable. I'm fairly stable. Look at the thing. Look, it's pretty stable. Now to put the gasket on, I have this 1/4 inch diameter black rubber gasket material, and I set that in an adhesive, not super glue. You got to use an adhesive. Set it in. I did 1 ring on the inside, 1 ring on the outside. Why? The inside will grab small things I want to chuck up and hold, like the tennis balls and the balls and sockets and things like that that are round on the outside. Other things that are concave, which means the other direction, I want to slip it over the top to hold it. Well, this is neither. It's just flat. And I need to hold it, so I'm back my tool wrist out the way so you can see this. This is going to go right here. Just like that. Should I back up a little bit? Sure I should. All right, now, show you this because this is not a hard thing. Now, I'm going to hold it here using my soft touch on my revolving center, my soft touch, pressing against that center to give me some stability while I line this up. I'm just going to get it close and put a little pressure, just a little pressure. Then I'm going to spin it and see how true I am. And it's pretty true. That's good. When you've got something to reference to. I had a pencil mark to reference to, so I could do that. I pushed a little bit on it. Now, how am I going to hold it? I'm going to hold it with vacuum pressure. I got a hose over here, and I'm going to grab that hose, and that won't work at all. Nope. Take a look at this. I'm going to make sure this, I can't see this camera. Make sure it's all right. What we're looking at, that right there is my vacuum. It's a, what does the label on it say? Oh. 2.5 CFM vacuum pump. I got that at Harbor Freight. Now, I've got a little pipe fitting on it to give me a vacuum gauge. You can get that at the hardware store. I have some line. I've got a pretty good line. And it comes over to a coupler that you can get out of the catalog stores, big catalog stores. And it comes in a coupler. And what's it do? It allows the lathe to spin but the hose in the coupler doesn't. Nifty device, right? Really nifty. That's where the vacuum is going to be generated. It's going to come through that pipe, and that's a 3/8 inch lamp part pipe. Did you get it? I get mine at the Ace Hardware store, and I have about 10 lengths. So if I add on and come out here or go back, I just either put a coupling in it that'll fit into the socket, or change the bar out so I can reach out or I can go back. I have it in here, and you saw that I can spin it, and it's fairly true. And my one-way revolving center here with my True Touch is barely, look, I can stop it, barely spinning, because I'm not putting a lot of pressure on. I'm going to put a lot of vacuum on it. I'm going to try to get to about 25 or 30 inches or ounces of vacuum on this. I'm going to crank up the vacuum pump and see what happens here. Oh yeah! I'm sitting there and I am topped out at 30 ounces or inches, whichever you can call it, of vacuum. This is on there. And I say, what can I do with it? Well, let's just say, oh, get out the way. Any damn thing you want. Did you hear that? Anything you want. That is spinning true. We're at 200, 300 RPMs. Look how true this is. I want to go back in. I want to clean up that bottom a little bit. And because I got a little hiccup in it. Then I want to fan this out and sand it smooth. And then guess what? Because my chuck will work, I'm going to flip around, go the other way, and finish the inside too. All on a vacuum chuck. Nothing mechanical holding the piece except vacuum. And big machine shops now, big people that move stuff, vacuum's an easy way to go about it. If there's a loss of vacuum, I'm at 30 ounces. So it's really pulling hard. So this, I'd break this plate trying to get it off here. I would. I'm not going to just ease it off. I can watch this whole plate flexing as I do this. Got it? Got it. Not all playing on the same diamond. This is being held by the vacuum truck, still reading 30 ounces, 30 inches, whatever the way you want it to be. And I want to true this up a little bit, or clean this up a little. Now remember we sanded this to 400, put pardon me, OB shine juice on it. Well, I got my shield on, so I'm going to spin it again. Shine juice is building up on the paper. Two ways around this. Go to coarse of paper, put some lubricant on it, like a sanding wax or whatever. Either way you want to go. I'm going to go sanding wax. While I'm suiting up, because I had that smashed thumb, or torn thumb, and I don't want to get any chemical and stuff in it, not even the sanding wax or the stuff I've been playing with today. So I'm going to put on one of these nitro clubs. They're not bad. They're better than those other ones. Y'all know the one I'm talking about. Alright, so I have this, and I'm looking at the reflection, and it's pretty good, but I want to clean up a little bit more. So with the shield on, I am cleaning this up using sanding wax. Sanding wax is a real exotic blend of beeswax and mineral oil until I got it to the consistency. Remember my deal, it's about 5 or 6 years old. It's about the consistency of Shine Oil Shoe Paste. Yeah, I can remember those things. Alright? And the sanding wax will keep the dust away from me and allow me to clean this up a little simpler, and I'm going to get a cleaner cut and a better finish off of it. This is 320 paper. It happened to be in there. Use it, but I'm going to step all the way back up to my 4 again. Where was that? I was at 4. Yeah, step back up to my 400 again. Because I'm already down, I'm just cleaning up. Use a little sanding wax. The paper doesn't load up as much with the wax on it. And look, see? I'm not wasting paper or CAD. A little more wax. I want to work on these waxes. I've got one with diatomaceous earth I want to do. That'll give you a grit finish so you can sand with it. I'll take this to 600 right here. But in the meantime, I need to bring my tool rest up and clean this bottom out a little bit. You with me? I think so. I use my little 3/8 inch Ellsworth type gouge to put a little detent in this. Roll the bottom in. It moved a little bit from the last time I did it. So I can cross over, I can do these light scrape cuts and clean this up very nicely. You can see I'm a little wrinkled here, but I'm cleaning all the way to the edge. But it's all being held on the vacuum. So I don't have any tool marks on it. But here's the warning. I can damage that finish on the far side and pull it out, but I'm going to flip it around and finish it anyway. But back up, shields up. Ron Bradliff sent me a video because the shields up is like Captain Kirk in Ricardo Montalban, you know, you saw that movie a long time ago. Shields up. I got to tell you what I'm doing here. I'm going to dress this up and clean this up. I don't want to have a bump or a depression in the middle. So the best way for me to control it is not to pull on it, because I will pull the depression, and once I start seeing it happen, I'll leave up, lighten up, and then I'll have it still have the depression. So I'm going to push to it. Shields up. Then when I check it, I'm not going to feel the bump. The bump is critical to me. I don't need a reference that I'm round. I got it there, and I can take my little self-powered orbital sander and clean the rest of this up. And it's still all being held by vacuum. To assure I'm not getting that ring, because I see that a lot in work, I got to harp on a little because it is unsightly. I'm going to go all the way down to 80 grit paper disc and sand this out. I did all that with my self-powered sander that you can build with the bushing and bearing kit we sell on our website. But I'm down here and I don't have any bump, groove, nick, cut, tear, or reference point on that center to say this is turned. Now, if I need to, and a lot of folks believe we always have to do this, if I need to put a reference for me to turn, to put a line in it, so I know where to write my name, but in case I need a line to do it, I just fire it up, Put a mark in it. Don't sand it back out again. You can take the burnish and knock the top off. You need multiple marks or a center or anything else. That's all the time to do it is just before you put the finish on. I want to put a finish on this. I have put a couple of coats of sealer on it, buffed it out with a Scotch-Brite, and I really am happy with what we have here. I would clean it up. If I had the air chuck up, I'd blow the air off of it, get the dust out of the air, or create more dust. I don't know. But I've got it looking pretty good, and I want to put a protective coat on the bottom of it. This gets touched a lot. I don't know why. I wish I was getting touched a lot. But I want to use a little CA. And it's not a difficult application. It just takes a few minutes. Speed's going to go down a little bitty bit because I don't need a lot of RPM. I just need the wood to be moving a little bit. That's pretty good. Now, I'll put a little bit on the pad, start from the middle and work out. Don't go back and forth. Where you touched that was drying the instant you left it. If you do this back and forth, you build it up, you'll wring it, you'll wrung it, you'll ridge it, you'll wrinkle it. You don't want to do that. You put on a light coat. I can wait a second or so. Come back out, and I'm using, this is really wasteful. I'm using like 3 drops at a time on a piece of blue paper towel from Home Depot, and it will go through the towel and burn onto my glove, but I'm not going to let that happen. But I'm building it up. I'll build up 3 or 4 coats, buff them with a Scotch-Brite, and then I'm ready to flip around. Got it? Got it. I put it on. I took the white Scotch-Brite, buffed it off a little bit. I didn't wax it yet because I'm going to buff it later on the wheel. But this has got an awesome. Can you see the chatoyance? Is the camera in the right spot? Can you see the reflection? The chatoyance coming out? It's coming out. It's there. Answer the phone, pardon me. This part you gotta love. I can do all that. I'm holding this piece, and I'm harping on vacuum gauge, okay? I'm holding this piece, and I'm doing this return on it. Now, when I want to flip it around, it's very complicated on how you do it. You go over and reach that little butterfly switch, and you switch it off. Now, look, I'm still holding so much vacuum on it. There. You heard that? Did you hear it? All right. And look, not a mark on it. Not a mark on it. That back has got a perfect finish on it, ready to be buffed out. Because I'm going to buff it to get the ridges off. There are ridges. But I'm going to flip it around this way. Move my tool rest out the way. And get the vacuum chuck set back up again to hold it in the opposite direction. And what I didn't tell you was, my mind said, when I put that ring on, that ring's going to help me line it up back here, because now I'm looking at the ring on the backside, and I can line up the ring with the gasket or the cushion material, and I can spin it around, and between that and the edge of the plate, which is about 1/8 of an inch larger than the ring, I can just flip it around, wheel it to 30 instantly, means it's holding, and look at that. You can't understand how much pressure I can put on it. I can break this. It will break off versus pop off. Beautiful deal. Now I've got the piece up, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to brush it off a little bit, take a little sanding wax, wax it out, and put another coat of finish on it. Make it shine like a diamond. Using the sanding wax because I don't want to overly abrade what I have in here for finish. But I want to knock down high points so I can come back with more finish. So I use a little sanding wax. Now that is a blend of beeswax and mineral oil from the grocery store, in beeswax, nothing exotic. I blend it up. Here's the deal. Use a double pot, double boiling, and you do the beeswax. They only need about 180 degrees to melt it. And then you dump in the oil and you stir it. And I hear from you guys saying, mine comes out too chunky. Add more oil or stir it while it's still warm. And don't walk away from it. This is the commitment. All right, now we have that. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. That was 240. I want to take a look and make sure I didn't do any serious scars or tears on it or anything. And it's just slick as a baby's bottom. I like that. So I'm going to clean this up a little more, take it to 400 grit with the sanding wax, and then I'm ready to put my finished coat on. A little particular because it's a beautiful piece. Just like your work. Now, I'm back on. I'm going to clean off the wax from the sanding wax and the oil. And I'm using a paper towel. I don't bring rags to my lake. You know my story. The rags are on my back, never to the lake. Because if this would grab somehow and pull, it's going to pull my fingers out of the joint or hurt me. And of all the things I want in life, getting hurt ain't one of them. I consider this to be a fairly wasteful finish because I'm on the 4th piece of blue paper towel, which means I'm on about 1/80th of a roll or whatever. But that's what I apply my finish with, is the blue paper towel. I run it through the bandsaw and cut it into about 1.5 inch wide strips on the roll, and then I can put it here hanging on my lathe right here, and I can get a piece off when I need it. And I don't waste a whole pad. I'll never forget going to an Allen, I think it was somebody named Trout who was teaching how to do a CA finish, and the monkeys in the audience kept saying, that's wasteful, look at all the towels you're going through. Okay, so we wasted a tree on this one. I'm liking this finish. I'm hoping to show this to you, but the reflection of this, it's like flashing light here. I'm getting a little psychedelic. I have got an awesome finish on this right now with just the sealer and a Scotch-Brite pad buffing it off. I'm going to put a couple of coats of CA on it, and then I'll show it to you. It's really nice. Now, I put about 3 coats of CA on it. Buffed it out with the white Scotch-Brite, the soft one. Then I came through with my Amazon.com bought Renaissance wax. Put a coat of wax on it. Now, let's shut her now. Go through that real technical process of unhooking it. Where you turn off the switch and you hold it, and the pressure or the vacuum will relieve, and boop, off it comes. Now, I don't know how it gets any simpler than that. This is the piece. Now, I haven't polished it on the Beal to take any you know, I'm kind of going to let this wax cure for a little bit and then buff it. But it looks like it's plastic. Maybe I spent 5 more minutes than I should have. Maybe. My wife's quilting groups call them trash to treasures. This is essentially trash. Left back there years ago when I got sick. Now it's a little bit of a treasure. Now you can see the chatoyance, the reflectivity of the wood coming out, because I'm sanded from 80 to 400, and then I buffed it out again to 600, and then I went through and cleaned it up a little bit, sanded it with wax to keep the dust down, and to fill in a little bit of irregularities, and then I buffed it out. I have a couple of coats of sealer on it. That's 5 minutes worth. Put the sealer on it. Then I went over the top of it with CA glue to put a CA finish on it. Now this thing is bulletproof. Really. Came up nice. I don't have any. See, you don't see it, do you? See the little reflection in the middle right there where you should see the dimple or the dibble or whatever they call it, because it's turned. Well, we sanded right. We cut on a push, which, see, to draw a cut, you can get the bump on it. And if your tool wrist isn't clean, you'll get even more bump. But we got rid of that. We sanded out with a little orbital sander when you make in your shop. And we, after it was all finished up, I put some CA. I'm sorry, the CA. But then I put a little polish on it and polish it up a little bit. This is still 99% finished job. Why I'm going to leave it? Well, it's got a cure. And then I can come back and put it on a vacuum chuck and take I love this stuff. I'll take my Meguiar's plastics and buff it by hand on the machine. And I mean, I'll be able to, who's that ugly fella in there? That's what you can do too. Save your work. Take a little more time on your finishes. That way, when you get out in the shop, you start playing around and you're making shavings. It's making shavings. You got that right? Making shavings. You're making shavings. You'll bring out some art. Take care. Be good. This is nice. I do like it. Glad I saved it. Hey, sometimes I catch a little hell over not explaining what I'm using for equipment and stuff. So I figured today, and I'd like to make this a routine for me, I will explain pieces and parts following the demo of what I used. This was basically on holding something with a vacuum chuck. So I went to Home Depot and bought a vacuum chuck from them, a vacuum generator. Pardon me, phone's ringing. I hope you don't think this rude of me when I got to stop to take the phone call, but when you call Big Eye Productions to buy cutters, that fella just now from New Brunswick in Canada wanting to buy bearings, I take your call. And if you got a question or problem, you can call me anytime and ask me about it. We'll talk. We'll talk it through. We had the vacuum generator, or the vacuum pump from Harbor Freight. It runs through a spinning hub that I got from one of the big wood turning catalog things, and it's got a 3/8 24 thread adapter insert in it, and I use a rod I get at the hardware store that you put in table lamps, 3/8 24. Now, there's no real magic to this. It's the 3/8 24 bar. It's the right length. I have a rubber stopper. This is the same stopper I use on a Longworth revolving chuck. And I slipped it on, put a keeper on it, and doop, I sucked that back into a socket I made in a cup. No magic to it. Rubber gaskets on the face of it. And I ended up with a vacuum chuck. And sitting here today, I came up with a dozen projects I can put this to use on. But, how did I get it in? I promised I'd show you this. And I don't always remember, but I never forget. Right? Okay, this is the thing I made. That's a piece of cleanup. That's a 3-inch cleanup. That's all. Alright? And those two rubber rings, I picked up that gasket material at the hardware store, not the big box, the hardware, and I glued it on there with adhesive, not with super glue. The whole thing's glued together with adhesive. And it's sitting on a block that is cut to fit in my one-way revolving chuck. So my only magic to this is stick this in the chuck, lock it down, put the pipe in, hook up the compressor, and I'm ready to vacuum chuck. Nothing too difficult about it. Other things today, I told you about the sandpaper that we're using. I get all my sanding supplies from Vince's Wooden Wonders. Here's his website, Vince's Wooden Wonders. We used the Maguires or Maguire's Plastex buff when we were putting the last finish on. The CA I used was from Starbond, and I used their super thin, very thin, it's thin in water for putting it on. Look at I think that pretty much covered it up. Oh, we used a soft touch on our revolving center, and that's it. So now you should be up to speed with what we did, how we did it. Thank you.